Hey guys, welcome to the So Squared YouTube channel. Today we're going to look at Instagram in particular and look at their algorithms and the chronological feed that they announced before Christmas. Welcome back guys, my name is Sam, I'm the founder of So Squared, and if you're enjoying this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you want to see more content from us, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Before the Christmas break, Instagram announced that it was going to bring back chronological feeds to its platforms. Now this was met with some really good response, especially from creators on my platform. So really, what I wanted to do today is explore whether this is a good thing or potentially a bad thing. So first, let's actually look into what chronological feeds are. It's exactly what it says on the tin. Posts will appear in the order in which they're posted from most recent down. I mean, does anybody remember when you used to refresh Instagram and it used to say, you are up to date? I mean, that feels like a lifetime ago. So let's explain how Instagram works today. And this is really important if you're a creator utilizing the platform to generate money as part of a career or additional revenue, you need to understand this. So first, let's explore the algorithm. And actually, let's look at the misconception around the algorithm. There isn't one algorithm. Instagram uses a variety of processes and classifiers to determine how your feed is shown. So in 2016, Instagram announced that 70% of people were missing posts in a chronological feed. 70%. So that's why they introduced the feed that you see today using their algorithm. The purpose of the algorithm is to rank posts on what Instagram thinks you're most likely to want to see. What is important to note though, is that each part of the platform, whether it's the feed, the stories, the reels, or explore, uses its own algorithm tailored to how the person uses it. Example, you tend to find in explore pages that you don't follow, but what Instagram believes that you're going to be interested in. And in stories, you typically tend to find your closest friends or most recently engaged. So we're going to break this down into 4 components. We're going to look at feed and stories, the explore page, reels, and then shadow banning. So feed and stories. First of all, we need to determine what it is we're going to rank. And for feed and stories, this is people that you follow. I mean, caveat to that is there are sponsored advertisements on your feed and story. Next, we introduce signals. Signals are like the people that posted, information about the person that posted, stuff that you might be interested in. The list really goes on and on. These are the things that determine the algorithm. So we're going to look at the 4 most important signals for feed and stories, roughly in the order that they're prioritized. First, information about the post. Now this is split into 2 categories. First of all, you have how popular the post is, and second, you have the more mundane stuff like what time was it posted and what location was it posted. Second, information about the person who's posted. So in the case of feed and stories, these are people that you actually follow. So Instagram uses this to get a sense of how interested you might be in this person. Now, this actually works on things like how engaged the actual poster is. So this is like whether people are actively engaging them in their DMs, on their likes, on their comments. So let's just deviate for a second and talk about how important this is if you're a creator or an influencer on Instagram. Now, engaging with your audience, whether it's in direct messages, on the comments, and actually just engaging with other people's posts is really important to how high your post will get ranked in other people's feeds. The third point is your activity as the viewer. Now, this gives Instagram a sense of what you're actually interested in seeing based on things that you've previously liked or commented on. And lastly out of the 4 is personal history. Now this is how much you've actually engaged with the person posting that post. So this basically works on your previous relationship with the person that's producing the content and whether it's something you've typically liked in the past. Let's just circle back to that passage. Person posting posts, I mean, so many P's in that passage. Again, more P's. So from here, Instagram's going to take these 4 signals plus a load more and it's going to make predictions. Now, let's just remember that these are educated guesses, and for everybody that wants to get particular, they aren't binary. But these predictions are going to be used for Instagram to determine how likely you are to either comment on a post, like a post, even stay a few seconds on the post, or visit that person's profile. So this is where it gets really interesting in my opinion, and this is where I'm going to quote directly from Instagram's own documents. The more likely you are to take an action, and the more heavily we weigh that action, the higher up you'll see the post. So looking at that phrase, nowhere does it discuss positive action. In fact, it doesn't even reference anything to do with positivity. So last year, this caused a lot of outrage with the Facebook whistleblower. And it was a real big touch point on what Instagram and Facebook were pushing to people's feed. Because ultimately, what they were looking for is people to spend time on their feed and spark a reaction, whether that be positive or negative. Now, this isn't a video on the Facebook whistleblower or what happened last year and what Facebook did or didn't do. But I think it's also really important to recognize that the stuff that you see on your feeds is what you're more likely to react to and not what you actually maybe want to see. So recapping on feeds and stories, Instagram's going to show you posts that you're more likely to take action on, and the algorithm determined by the signals that we discussed previously and more is going to determine whether or not you are engaged. Not an Instagram statement, but my own opinion. Like all of the social media platforms, the key is to keep you engaged. I mean, it's a pretty shit platform if people just get on it and then get off it straight away. Now, let's take a look at the Explore page. Now, we all know that the Explore page was to help you discover new content through videos, reels, and posts. So, working on the same principles as before, it takes a post that you previously liked, commented on, saved, or engaged in to determine what you might also be interested in seeing. So, let's look at an example. Say you're interested in NFTs like I am, and you like a number of posts by NFT Plays. Instagram will then look at who else is liking those posts by NFT Plays, who else they're following, who else they're engaging with, and then determine whether or not you may also like the stuff that they like. So let's say these people are interested in retail trading and stocks. So let's say they follow Wall Street Bets and they engage with their posts, but you don't follow Wall Street Bets. But next time you open your Explore page, you're more likely to see Wall Street Bets or similar on that Explore page.
Oh, there's a good right hand, and that drops Woodley, and it is over.
So what the Instagram algorithm has done here is it has created a profile around me as a person. It's assumed that I'm into NFTs, crypto, blockchain, retail trading, whatever that may be, without actually understanding the individual posts. So a little bit of an interesting point to touch on here. You don't follow the people in your Explore page. So if you see something problematic in terms of content that you're seeing, if you see it on your feed or on your stories, that's with somebody that you follow. So that's between you and your friend, let's say. If it's on your Explore page, that's where it gets a bit grey. So on top of community guidelines, Instagram makes special effort to make sure that stuff in your Explore page isn't necessarily going to offend you. An example of this, tobacco-related products or vaping are really hard to come by an Explore page because Instagram tries its best to filter stuff out. So as a creator, if you're promoting, say, a tobacco-focused product or a vaping product, you're probably going to get yourself blocked from the Explore page. Next, we come onto Reels, Instagram's aggressive tactic to battle TikTok.
Spartans, what is your profession?
So Reels, just like Explore, are designed to entertain you. Now, if you actually go on the Reels page on your Instagram app, you typically tend to see Reels from people that you don't follow. Sound familiar? TikTok. So, just like Explore, Instagram sources Reels based on the signals that we explained earlier and ranks them on how interested you might be in those Reels. But with Reels, they're particularly interested in what's going to entertain you as opposed to what's going to spark a reaction. So the most important signals on Reels, roughly in order. So first is your activity. So stuff that you've previously engaged with. Then your history of engaging with the person that's created the Reels. Often you'll probably see Reels that, are from a creator who you have seen before, but you might not necessarily follow. Information about the Reel. So these are things like the audio track. So this is actually really important because audio tracks trend on Instagram. So quite a lot of time people put a reel up where they've put their own music to it and it says original soundtrack by, Sam Alexander Royal, whoever it may be. but actually you can look at which songs are trending on Instagram, and then you can apply that to your reels to try and help get visibility. And lastly, just information about the person who posted them. So now we're going to talk about what everyone's been waiting for, shadow banning. Now this is probably the most daunting thing if you're a creator, apart from having your account disabled. So first, a couple of things to know. Firstly, Instagram is not a person, amazingly. It's not out to target you individually. And secondly, to quote directly from Instagram, most of your followers won't see what you share because most look at less than half of their feed. So shadow banning is the act of hiding or restricting a user's content without actually informing them. This usually occurs when the creator has violated Instagram's guidelines. Ultimately, being shadow banned, your content won't appear on people's feeds, hashtags, or explore unless they're following you. Now, just reverting back to what Instagram state on their documents, where most of your following won't see your posts, this is really important because a lot of your reach comes from those people that aren't actually following you. Now, this can be a bit of a vicious circle because previously mentioned about the signals that affect your algorithm and the visibility of your post, they rely on both your following and your non-following. Both directly affect each other. So if you're not receiving reach from the people that you're not following, your posts aren't going to rank highly in the feeds of the people who are following you. So why might you be getting shadow banned? And this is where there's a few tripwires in IG's guidelines. So people that use inauthentic measures to grow their Instagram, whether this is buying followers, buying likes, using hundreds of hashtags that aren't relevant to the post, or being in engagement group to try and help drive the promotion of their posts, these all give grounds for Instagram to hide or restrict your content. What people need to realize is that Instagram is a very sophisticated product, and it can actually detect where people are genuinely engaging with posts and when they're just putting emojis because in a Telegram group somebody said, everybody go and like my post, and everybody put a love heart. This is in a bid to promote content that people have genuine interest in or are helpful to the Instagram community. A few good tips on making sure that you either don't get shadow banned or how to kind of come out of that shadow ban period is if you're using any bots, remove them. Just straight up remove them. And, look at the Instagram guidelines. Just literally refresh them. It takes 5 minutes. And then if you're using hashtags, be careful of what hashtags you are using. I'm going to leave a link here and you'll be able to see a list of hashtags that are actually banned. Using banned hashtags can be really detrimental to your posts. So now that we fully understand the algorithm and how it works, let's look at Instagram's latest news with regards to kind of what they're rolling out in the platform, what's currently being tested now, and what will be available in the future for everybody else. So what you're going to have is you're going to have 3 selections for your home feed. You're going to have home, which is what you kind of see now with the algorithm. You're going to have following, which is what we discussed with a chronological feed. And then you'll have favorites. That kind of doesn't need any explanation. You set your own favorites on your own preferences. So let's just put some color on the home and the following feeds. Now, when this was announced, I saw so much reaction, especially from Instagram influencers and creators, about how much they couldn't wait for the chronological feed to come back into play. Now, from my perspective, I kind of felt this was from creators who were maybe a bit angry about how visible their posts were based on the algorithms. But, and this is a big but, you need to look at how chronological feeds will work in reality. So let's look at an example. Let's say influencer X has 1 million followers, and the average following count of those 1 million followers is 2,000 followers. On a chronological feed, you're competing on a neutral battleground with those people. And here's the funny thing. No algorithm is going to help your post get better because there is no algorithm in a chronological feed. You're entirely dependent on those other 2,000 people being active or not being active on Instagram. So let's break this down even further. The person that follows Influencer X is, let's call him Joe Blogs. Influencer X posts at 4 p.m. Joe Blogs doesn't check their feed until 7 p.m. Within that 3-hour time period, depending on how many people have posted that Joe Blogs follows, will determine where Influencer X's post comes up. So let's say for argument's sake, between the hours of 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., 60 people have posted that Joe Blogs follows. Influencer X's post is going to be at the bottom of 60 other posts. The bottom of 60 other posts. Now imagine the knock-on effect if majority of Influencer X's followers decide to opt for a following newsfeed. That's nuts. All the amazing things that Instagram's algorithm does to help promote and get visibility on your posts as an influencer, whether you think it's against you or not, has zero impact on your post anymore if your followers choose to opt for a chronological feed. So you, the influencer with 1 million followers, has just as much chance of being seen as everybody else in that 2,000 people list. It's entirely dependent on when that user checks their feed and when you post. Now, I'll let you make your mind up as a creator whether you think this is a good thing or a bad thing, but as you can kind of tell from my reaction, I think this will be detrimental to the influencer economy. Which brings me nicely to my final point. Why are Instagram introducing this now? So according to Instagram CEO Adam Mosseri, they want to make it easier for users to view the content that they want to see. Now, I am going to call bullshit on this. Quick high-level overview. $10 billion was spent on influencer and content creator marketing last year in 2021. This form of marketing is rapidly growing. And in my opinion, this is going to overtake traditional social media marketing, which is kind of paid and sponsored advertisements, in the next 5 years or even sooner. So let's look at this from a really cynical perspective. Instagram and Facebook don't receive any direct revenue from an influencer marketing post. So the influencer gets paid directly from the brand. Whereas social media advertising, so paid advertisements and sponsored ads, Instagram and Facebook get direct revenue from the brands for promoting their posts. You can see where I'm going with this. So if a good majority of users switch to a following dashboard, in my opinion, this is going to devalue the offering that Instagram influencers provide to a brand because ultimately they're not going to get the same eyeballs on their content. So the brands are going to start looking at where they're spending their marketing dollars and where they can get best value for their money. And in my opinion, that money is going to go back into paid and sponsored advertisements. This is my opinion, not necessarily true, but I'll let you make your own minds up. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you next time.